all can see my screen now. I'm going to give it just a minute to make sure that it's working before I continue. Okay, so welcome to UH Engineering. We're really excited that you all have. Oh no, I'm sorry. There's an issue with my computer. I will be back in just a minute. Okay, I think that we are getting everything back up now. Someone had said that they couldn't hear me. Everything is showing on my end that the microphone is on and working. So hopefully you can all hear me now. I'm going to go ahead and start the PowerPoint presentation and share my screen with you again. Hopefully this time everything will go a little more smoothly. Okay, so here's an overview of what I want to talk about today. I'm going to introduce you a little bit to the University of Houston and to Houston in general. I'm going to talk about I-20 processing, how we get that done as quickly as possible, and then how to set up your MyUH account, the orientation schedule for when you start classes, how to get enrolled in courses, the tuition and fee structure. We'll talk a little bit about employment opportunities on campus and off campus, and then we'll get to the Q&A section as soon as possible. Okay, so Houston, Texas is the 4th largest city in the United States. The first 3, of course, being New York, LA, and Chicago. We do kind of vie with Chicago a little bit. Every now and then we, almost surpass them to become the 3rd largest city. So we are a very large city, very urban environment. Houston is known as the energy capital of the world. We're also really well known for having the space industry here. And one thing that many people might not know is we also have the world's largest medical center. So there's a lot of room for engineers to find work here in Houston. And there are extensive internship opportunities for UH students. And then most of our students do go on to get employed in the engineering usually in the energy industry or the medical industry. We also have a really great arts and entertainment system here. And where our campus is located is right off of our light rail train. And so it takes less than 5 minutes to get to downtown Houston from campus. So you have the opportunity of going to a lot of really great events, festivals, and the symphony is amazing here. So there's a lot to do in Houston. If you're interested in learning more about the city, I highly recommend the city's website, which is houstontexas.gov. We also have a lot of really interesting information on Wikipedia. So if you want to fall down the rabbit hole of that, I would suggest starting with the nicknames for Houston, because there's quite a few of them. So the University of Houston is a Tier 1 public research university. We've had Tier 1 status for quite a few years now, but we were originally founded in 1927. Our campus is pretty big. It's 550 acres. As I said before, we're really close to downtown, but when you're actually on campus, you don't feel like you're in an urban environment at all. It's a really beautiful campus, lots of parks, lots of trees. Houston tends to stay very green most of the year, so it's a sort of subtropical humid environment. We have lots of beautiful plants. And we're a very vibrant campus. We have lots of student organizations. Students tend to be really active here. And part of the reason I think that is because we're an extremely diverse university. And I'll talk about that a little bit, starting with international students. So international students do make up the large majority of our graduate enrollment in engineering programs. Our undergraduate enrollment tends to be mostly domestic students. And here's a list of the top countries of origin for our students. So most of you guys are coming from one of these countries. We were recently designated the second most diverse university in the United States, which we're extremely proud of. We really love having a very diverse, vibrant student body that gets really involved and really speaks out on issues and talks to each other. It's a really great environment. Okay, so to move on to what everybody I'm sure is concerned with first is I-20 documents. So in order to get your I-20, the first thing you have to do is accept your admissions offer through the application system. And then there are a set of required documents that are listed here on this slide that have to be submitted. Those will then be reviewed by our CVIS officer. She'll review all of your documents, make sure everything is correct and that it meets all of the legal requirements. And then she will issue you an I-20. At that point, most of our departments will have the CVIS officer contact you to ask you how you want your document shipped. Some departments will pick up your document for you and then send it to you. So you might want to check with your department advisor to find out how you're going to be getting your document. There are lots of resources if you need more information. And then you can always email me as well. And I can check the status of your I-20 request. So the most common status we see is missing documents. And so if you are confused about which documents you need to upload, please let us know. Once your I-20 request has been reviewed, they will check to see if you're missing any documents, and you'll get an email from our graduate school if you are. But if you haven't got an email yet and you're confused about what your status is, let me know. And then, as I said before, most departments will have the graduate school mail your document to you because that way you can pay to expedite your shipping. Most of our departments can only send I-20s at the slowest rate possible. So it's really in your best interest for us to have the graduate school mail it to you. So if you have any questions about that, again, please just let me know. You can always email me. So once you receive your I-20, the next thing you'll want to do is set up your MyUH account. And so in order to do this, you need to have either a social security number or a CVIS ID from your I-20. And then once you set up the account, you can view any holds that you have on your record, which we'll go over in a minute. You can see the class schedule and you can register for your classes. So hopefully you can see the red arrow pointing to where it says request my user ID. This is your first step in order to get started with getting your MyUH account. So we have two different kinds of student accounts. Well, really it's just one account with two different types of logins, which can get really confusing when you're first starting out. So you're going to start with logging in using your PeopleSoft ID. And that is the number that's at the top of your admissions letter. It's your student ID number. Please let us know if yours was missing or if you're confused about where to find it, and we'll help you get that number. This is a really important number that you're going to want to memorize because you're going to be asked for it often. Once you have enrolled in classes, you will get an email with a CougarNet ID. And this is usually based on your name, and it can also be used to log into your student account. So if you see on this picture here, this is our Access UH page. This is the portal to log into all different types of student accounts on campus. You can log into this. As you can see, there's two tabs, one for a CougarNet login and one for the PeopleSoft ID login. So make sure you pay attention to which one you're using. And as I said before, in the beginning, you'll all be using your PeopleSoft number in order to log in until you are in classes and you get your CougarNet account. So once you've logged into your new student account, there's 3 different common holds that you might see on your account. All international students will have the international check-in and orientation hold. And this hold will not prevent you from enrolling in classes your first semester. But if you don't attend these sessions, you won't be able to enroll in future semesters. So make sure that you arrive in time to go to these. You'll get a list. I'll go over the dates in a few minutes here, but you'll also get a list of these dates with your I-20. So you have to attend both a check-in session and the international student orientation in order to get this hold removed from your account. The second common hold is prior degree verification. So for most of you, when you were going through the application process, you submitted scans of your documents for your transcripts. We now need your official hard copies of your transcripts, and these need to be in sealed envelopes that were sealed and stamped by your school. You can email me if you have any questions about what might be missing from your account, and I'll try to help you get everything solved. There may be a few of you who won't have your degree certificate yet, and you may need to ask for an extension. We can also work on that. For students from India, we also accept provisional certificates instead of the final certificate. So if you have that, you're fine. If you need more details about this in the next webinar next month, I'll go over this in more detail, but you can also email me at any time. The final most common hold is the bacterial meningitis hold. This will only be on your account if you are under 22 years of age on the first day of classes. So I believe that's August 20th. So if you're going to be 22 by August 20th, you don't have to worry about this at all. If you're concerned about it, please email me and I'll send you the link to all of the information you need to make sure you get the right immunization and that you submit your proof. Okay, so here's some information about the orientation schedule. The international student check-ins start on July 17th, and then there'll be multiple sessions. So these are, each of these dates, there's a morning session and an afternoon session, so there's a lot of opportunities to do this. The sooner you get it done, the better. However, keep in mind that if you have to come that early, you also will be paying, finding a place to stay and paying for your living expenses while you're here early. That said, please arrive at least a week before classes start. Otherwise, you won't be able to get everything done or attend all the orientations. So there's the check-in sessions. I think the orientation is August 15th and 16th. It is a 2-day orientation, and both days are mandatory. Then there's the department orientations. Each individual department will have an orientation to help you with your degree planning and course scheduling and to introduce you to all the important people in that department. These are usually the week before classes start. And then finally, the College of Engineering as a whole has an orientation. Usually it's the Friday after classes start, but the date hasn't been picked yet for this year. And that orientation is to get you give you some knowledge about how our college works and who the important people are in our college, what resources we have available. So all of these orientations are mandatory. I know it can seem very daunting when you first start out, but you'll make it through it just fine, and you'll move on to your first week of classes smoothly. Okay, so now you've gotten your I-20, you've set up your student account, you can view the class schedule. Graduate students will be able to enroll in classes for fall on April 8th. And that's for everybody, including new students. Some departments will place a hold on your account to prevent you from enrolling until you've been advised by them. So you may want to check with your department. I think the most common department that does this is industrial engineering, but I think there may be one or two other departments that also do it. So international students are required to enroll in at least 9 credit hours per semester. That's 3 courses. And so the last day to enroll is August 27th. And as you can see, this is about a week after classes actually start, to give you some time to change your schedule and to move into other classes. So you don't have to have everything set before you come, but you are encouraged, if you don't have any holds on your account, to go ahead and get enrolled in classes so that they're not full by the time you get here. So if you have any questions about what classes you should be taking or how the degree planning process works, the best person to talk to is the graduate advisor in your department. And if you don't know who that is, feel free to email me and I'll point you in the right direction. But they are usually listed on the staff page of each department's website. And then we do have a list of them on the college's website as well. Okay, so there's lots of different ways that you can plan out the 30 credit hours for a master's program. There are different paces that we look at when we talk to students about this. So the fastest pace to graduate with the least amount of money is the accelerated pace. You take 12 hours in your first 2 semesters, 6 hours the following summer, and then you're finished within 1 calendar year for your entire degree. Students who have scholarships will also receive in-state tuition for that entire degree. However, not all students have the goal of finishing as quickly and cheaply as possible. Some students have other goals during their master's program, the most common one being to get some work experience through an internship. And so we can look at some other ways to do that. So if you look at the full-time pace, this is a full-time student taking at least 9 credit hours per semester, and then 3 hours in the summer. So for this student, they would be able to do an internship in the summer of 2019, a full-time internship, and then after the end of summer, they would end that job and they would finish their degree with full-time hours in fall 2019. Students are allowed to work part-time when they're enrolled full-time in that last semester. So you may be able to work full-time through summer and then continue in the same position for 20 hours a week during your last semester. If full-time work is the most important thing to you, you may want to look at our final pace, the full-time CPT pace, I'm calling it. CPT is our curricular practical training. That is the way that international students are able to work off campus. And so for this path, if you took 6 hours during summer while you were working full-time, you would be able to continue full-time into the fall of 2019 because you would be under full-time enrollment. And so it really, which pace you use is going to depend on a lot of factors. I think money is probably the biggest one, but whatever goal you have while you're here, you want to think about that when you're planning your courses. Now, I will say that scholarship students are required to take 12 credit hours a semester. So if you are a scholarship student who also has the goal of doing an internship, another suggested pace would be to do 12 credit hours in your first 2 semesters. Then 0 in the summer of 2019. So you aren't required to take classes in the summer. So you could just work and then take your 6 hours in the following fall. Now, the caveat to that is that those 6 hours would not be under the in-state tuition, and you would have to pay more for those credit hours. So there's a lot of different aspects to consider when you're planning out the next couple of years. So, and this is just one of those to show you the difference in how much it would cost. And it's really not a great difference for students who are receiving in-state tuition or who are receiving only non-resident tuition. Most students are going to be jumping back and forth. You know, you might have a semester where you're in-state rates and then a semester where you're not. So these numbers are very definitely estimates, but it's something to think about as you're planning out that schedule. The fastest, cheapest way is going to be that accelerated track. Okay, so I'm just briefly going to touch on some of the employment opportunities on campus. So international students are allowed to work on campus. Starting from day 1, you can look for a position on campus. Now, only some positions will make you eligible for in-state tuition, and those are research assistant, teaching assistant, and instructional assistant positions. There are a lot of positions on campus that are called graduate assistant positions, and those do not make you eligible for in-state tuition. And the reason behind that is those positions tend to be clerical work, and they're not related to your degree. In order to receive an in-state tuition waiver, the work you do has to be in some way related to what your degree is. So usually doing research or teaching within your field is going to be the easiest way to get those positions. Now, for master's students, we don't offer these positions, especially in the first semester. It's a lot more difficult for master's students to find these positions than it is for PhD students. But that's not to say that they're not available. We do have dozens of students working in colleges all over campus. The most common is the College of Technology. A lot of our students will work as instructional assistants or lab assistants for that college. Your best opportunities will be to talk to current students when you arrive about where they have found positions. And as they graduate, they usually recommend people for those positions, and that's how most of our students get positions on campus. We also have a system called Cougar Pathways, which you'll have access to once you've set up your student account and enrolled in classes. And that's where we post jobs for students across campus. So there are other employment opportunities on campus that don't give you in-state tuition. We have a lot of students who work at the rec center or who work for the dining halls. We have students really everywhere, all over campus. So if you're wanting to work on campus while you're here, those are the two resources I would suggest: other students and then the Cougar Pathways portal. So after 1 year of study, international students are then eligible to work off campus. In order to work off campus, you have to do it through part of the curricular practical training. And the way we do that is through a co-op program. And so the co-op program, it's no course credit or anything like that. You just pay a fee. I think it's $200, somewhere around there. And your internship will then show up on your transcript so that you can show employers that you worked while you were in school. You have to wait until you've finished 2 full semesters. So for students coming this fall, the summer of 2019 is the first time you'll be eligible to take part in an internship. And then once you've completed your degree, there's the optional practical training route, and we have the Engineering Career Center to help you find positions. We do have our own career fair every year, and this is a picture from one of those career fairs. We have tons of companies that come and recruit from our students. And so there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of help here. Our Career Center does a lot for engineering students, including resume workshops, mock interviews. They have a career closet. So if you need help, with finding a tie or a jacket or something, you can go to them. They're really, really helpful with that whole process. So I really want to encourage you to take advantage of the resources that we have here in the college and across campus. Okay, so finally, just a note that we are on all types of social media. I sent with the invitation to this webinar a link to our Facebook group for new students. I really recommend that everybody subscribe to that if you can. If you're not on Facebook, we also have a lot of newsletters that you can find through the UH website. I think you just go on to uh.edu and search for newsletters. You'll find us, and that can help you keep updated with the research news and announcements from the college. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the chat window and start answering questions. So we have about an hour. As long as we don't run out of questions, I will keep answering them. Okay. So our first question, I got an admit from industrial engineering and wanted to know the coursework for fall. Recently got to know that it hasn't been decided yet. How can I get the course details? So our fall schedule, I believe, has been released. For industrial engineering, as I was mentioning earlier, your first semester of classes is going to be determined during an advising session with the program director. So you may want to email her, Dr. Fang, or you can talk to the advising assistant, Serena. She may be able to help you get an idea of what those classes are going to be the first semester. And other than that, I'm not really sure what to tell you, although I can pull the list of the courses that are offered if you are interested in that, and I can send it to you. Just send me an email. My email is here on the screen. It's blyale@uh.edu. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So I got an admission for fall 2018 MS in Mechanical. I've uploaded the financial documents, but I haven't received any confirmation mail how to know the status of my I-20. So yeah, just email me at the email on the screen, and I'll get that information for you. I do want to let everybody know that we plan to admit, somewhere around 400 students. So our CVIS coordinator is going to be working very hard to get all of those I-20s sent out. Hopefully there won't be too much of a delay with getting your I-20s processed. And I do keep in close contact with our CVIS coordinator so that if you do have questions, I can get those answered for you. Okay, so I got a scholarship on the condition that I take 12 hours per semester. Does that mean I am automatically in the accelerated pace? Basically, it does. So you would take 12 credit hours those first 2 semesters. You'll have 6 credit hours left at the end of that. So it's up to you when you're going to take those credit hours, if you're going to take them in the summer or the fall. And we actually do have right now a proposal that's going through the committees to decide if we're going to make changes to that 12 hours. So there may be an announcement at the beginning of the fall semester about that policy. But for now, let's keep in mind that you are required to take 12 hours to keep the scholarship. If you don't, if you take 9 credit hours, or if you have to, so if you take 9 credit hours from the beginning, you could lose your scholarship. If you take 12 and then end up having to drop one because of an academic issue, please talk to us about that before you drop the class. And we may be able to keep your scholarship or to find a way to work things out. So don't freak out if you feel like 12 hours is too much for you. Okay, where to find my Access UH password? So you'll hit the forgot my password button and reset the password through that process. Once you've already got your account set up. So you'll have to go through that process. If you're having issues with it, we have an IT help desk that can help you with that. Okay, so let me see. Can I take more than 30 credits? So that's going to be determined by your visa status. International students on F1 visas are not allowed to take more credit hours than are required by their program. So no, you can't really take more than 30 credit hours. The only exceptions to that I have seen are students who have done very poorly in courses and have had to retake to get their GPA up high enough to graduate. Those are the only students that I've seen take more than 30 credit hours. And that has to get approved through the college and our international student office. What are the details for studying for 2 years with the scholarship? So most of our programs will take less than 2 years. If you get the scholarship, you will take most of your courses that first year. The only students that I really see that stay for 2 or 2.5 years is our thesis students, because they're working on research that takes longer. So if your plan is to do a thesis-based program, you probably will take extra course hours as well, and you will probably be here longer. So if that's your goal, you should, once you get here, during that first semester, find a thesis advisor and switch to the thesis-based program for your department. The sooner you do that, the better, at least by the end of your first semester, so that you can get started on that process. Okay, what's the process to defer for a semester or a year? Just email your academic advisor. In electrical engineering, that's Nafisa, and she can defer your admission for a semester. We can defer it up to 1 year. After that, you will have to reapply to the program. Also, keep in mind that if you have received a scholarship, that scholarship will not automatically defer. you would probably be reviewed again with the new group of students coming in for the next year. Okay, what to do about I-20 and F-1 visa if I am on F-2 visa currently? Okay, so if you're currently in the U.S. on another visa status, you'll have to talk to our international student office about how to change your status. And they do have some information on their website. I can actually send you a link if you want to email me about the different processes for switching between different visas. But you probably will want to switch to the F-1 visa so that you can study full time. So just send me an email if you need more detailed information, and I'll help you out with that. Okay, so my admissions letter, MS in Computer Systems Engineering, does not specify my track. So all of our master students are automatically admitted as a non-thesis student until you find a thesis advisor. So in order to get switched to the thesis option, all you have to do is have a thesis advisor willing to supervise your research. And then just go talk to your academic advisor, and they will be able to submit the paperwork to switch you over. Okay. So I got an admit for electrical engineering. I wanted to know, what is usually the class strength and how hard is it to get a major of your choice? I'm not sure I completely understand your question. I think you're asking about the size of the admission. I think they usually admit about 100 students for the fall semester. How hard is it to get a major of your choice? Do you mean within electrical engineering? I think I'm a little confused by your question, so I'm probably not answering it right. And if I'm not, please just email me or ask again. But so once you're in electrical engineering, you'll get, when you first apply, you're accepted into the major that you apply for, or not accepted. And then within that major, there's also different tracks that you can choose. So within electrical engineering, there's several different tracks that you can choose, and you get to pick which one of those that you want to be in. Nobody has to approve that choice. Please email me if I'm not answering your question right. Okay. How likely is it for an international engineering student to get an internship during the summer? So it's pretty likely. We have a lot of our students going on internship. We're working on ways to help facilitate students to find internships, but right now, most students have to go seek out those internships themselves. We do have a lot of companies that post internships to our job boards. So that's something to keep in mind. And then, as always, talk to other students about where they got internships. It's always a great way to find more opportunities. I'm an accepted PhD student. I would like to know, how soon can we decide for a research advisor to work with? What would be the cost of living in the area? Okay, so it really depends on which department that you're in. Since you don't already have a research advisor, I'm going to assume it's chemical engineering. Usually they have their PhD students for the first year work as TAs and learn more about the department and the different research advisors. And then after that first year, they are assigned with a research advisor. For most of our other departments, students have research advisors before they start the program, or very soon after they start within the first semester. So if you have more questions about that, feel free to email me, and I'll get you a more detailed answer for your department, or you can email your academic advisor. They'll be able to give you a really detailed answer as well. Okay, so the next question is, my goal is to do PhD, how to get converted to PhD program in the first year. So the way you do that is by getting really good grades your first semester and finding someone who is willing to supervise your PhD program. So my suggestion would be to talk to your instructors in class, find out who's doing research that you're interested in, take their classes so they can get to know you and how well you work. We do have a lot of students that will switch from MS to PhD. It's not hard to do as long as you can find that research advisor. That's really the key for that. The acceptance letter that I received mentioned a 3.0 GPA criteria. Can you tell me more about it? How hard is it to get a 3.0? So 3.0 is a B average. All graduate students are required to maintain a 3.0 to stay in good standing. So the 3.0 is really, as a graduate student, that's the minimum you should be getting. If you have all A's and B's, you'll be fine at a 3.0. It's when you start getting C's that there is an issue. And we do actually have a low grade policy that if you get 4 C's or C grades in 12 hours of courses, that you're terminated from the program. So you really want to keep an eye on that, and we'll check in with you every semester. If you do get a C, you'll get notified by the graduate school or by the college. But I really think that you'll be fine. Most of our students have no issues with hitting that 3.0 criteria. Okay, my admit letter says I am qualified for an in-state waiver. Does that mean there are more steps to get the waiver, or will it automatically show in my I-20? So if it will automatically show in your I-20, the eligibility for the in-state waiver is based probably on your scholarship. And so once you receive a scholarship, you're eligible for the waiver. However, there's a limit to the number of waivers the university can give, which is why we say you're eligible. But so far, we've never hit that limit, so there's no reason to worry about whether or not you'll get the waiver. It'll show in your I-20, and it should already be on your student account well before the billing date this fall, so that you won't have to worry about paying the full amount of tuition. If you have any questions about that, or if you can't see it on your account, right now they're not going to be on your account because they haven't been processed yet, but closer to the beginning of the semester, they will be. Okay, this PowerPoint focuses on the MS program. Do you have subsequent webinars for PhD students, or where can I get the details? So yes, we will have a webinar this summer that's focused just on PhD students. If you have specific questions about that, please email me or your academic advisor, and we can get you some more information. But there are some rules that are a little bit different for PhD students, such as the I-20 request. You don't have to provide as much details because you have a financial offer from the university that covers most of what's needed for your I-20. So, I mean, if there are any questions that you have about really any of the differences between this, what I've been talking about, and for that, the rules for PhD students, please let me know, and I'll try to answer those as well. Okay, so my admit letter states for in-state tuition as well as $1,000 scholarships. So I want to ask that I qualify for both. Yes. So if you have a scholarship of $1,000 for the first academic year, you will get in-state tuition as well. If given a non-resident tuition waiver, does the program allow the student to take thesis credits to meet a part of this requirement each semester? So yes, if you have a thesis advisor, you can take thesis credits. So you have to have officially found a thesis advisor and added them through a petition process that they've signed off on being your thesis advisor. Once you've done that, you can use thesis hours or research hours to make up those 12 credit hours. I was specified award amount in my admission letter. What does award amount mean? So the award amount likely is both the scholarship and the tuition waiver. And it shows you how the difference between the regular tuition rates and the amount you'll actually be responsible for after both the scholarship and the tuition waiver are taken off your financial account. Okay, so I got a scholarship. What will be amount? I have to show my bank statement, financial documents. So for the financial documents, you'll use the letter of financial backing, which is one of the required documents for your I-20. And the purpose of that document is to help you determine how much you need for your bank statement. So once you fill out that form, you'll have the total. And so the last column on that form is how much you subtract from the total because of your in-state tuition and your scholarship. And so the numbers used for that are determined by a separate office that does it for the entire university. And so their estimates are different from ours, and they include living expenses and books and other items that we don't include when we give you estimates of how much our tuition is. So you will have to use their numbers for the I-20, but the actual cost of your program will be closer to what our numbers are. I know that's very confusing. Can students who selected MS with thesis option while applying switch to non-thesis option later? Yes. So as I said before, you're all going to be considered non-thesis unless you find a thesis advisor. I got in-state tuition scholarship as well as $1,000. So what is the amount I want to show in financial document? Okay, so I just answered that question. If you have any trouble with it, please let me know. Does the bank loan financial statement acceptable or not? Yes, usually a loan letter is fine for your bank statements or your supporting documents for your financial statements. Our CVIS officer will look it over and let you know if there's any issues with any of the documents that you submit. But we do generally see loan letters pretty often. Okay. I have uploaded all the required documents for the process for I-20. I haven't received any confirmation regarding this. Where should I find the status of my I-20? So you'll have to email me or your academic advisor to get the status of your I-20. It's not going to show up in your checklist or anything on the application. So just please let me know if you have questions about the status. Go ahead and email me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can about that. Okay, so am I supposed to receive a link account from UH to upload my financial documents? No, so you just log back into your application, and there's a section for uploading the international documents. So the waiver of non-resident portion of tuition fee is the same as in-state tuition. Yes, so there's two different types of tuition. There's state resident rates and then non-resident rates. So the waiver of the non-resident portion of the tuition is the waiver of how much more you pay by not being a state resident, if that makes sense. So it's just another way of saying the same thing. Okay, is the stipend provided apart from the scholarship to the PhD student taxable? Can a PhD program complete that in less than 5 years? So from what I understand, your stipend, the part you make from actually working as an RA or a TA is taxable. And yes, we do have PhD students that complete in less than 5 years. It depends on if you're coming with a master's degree or not. If not, it usually takes about 5 years to finish the programs. Will the RA, TA, IA options still be open for a student who receives scholarship? Yes. There's no limit on you working if you're receiving a scholarship. As long as you stay under 20 hours a week, there shouldn't be any issues with that. Okay. Got a scholarship and in-state tuition waiver under conditions that following that I need to take 12 credit hours and 6 for summer. Yes, you can opt for the CPT internship in the summer and complete the 6 credits. So I'm not sure if you're asking about doing that at the same time. But so you have 2 options. You can either do the internship and the 6 credit hours at the same time, which will be a lot of work, and still get the in-state tuition waiver. You can do that. Or you can take the 6 credit hours the following fall. You would have to pay the non-resident tuition rate for that. But then you would be able to work full-time in the summer without having to do both at the same time. There are other options as well. You could do 3 credits in the summer and 3 credits in the fall. That would probably save you a little bit of money. Okay. Where can I get more information, or who can I contact to get more information on the medical insurance program and options that are available to international students? So if you go to uh.edu and search for insurance, you'll find the student insurance page. There's lots of links on there to the different plans that are offered and to the cost of each plan. And while we're talking about this is a good time to point out as well that all international students are automatically charged for insurance. So you will want to make sure that you take a look at that and how much it costs and what the plans are like. If you already have insurance through another source, you can waive the medical insurance that's offered by the university, but you have to submit paperwork for that by a certain deadline. And you have to make sure that everything's processed properly before you would end up having to pay for that insurance. So please make sure you go to that website. If you need help finding it, send me an email. I'll send you the link so that you can make sure that you understand how this insurance actually works. And I don't want anybody to be surprised when they come and they get charged for insurance. So please take a look at that. Okay, I'm an accepted PhD student. Can we purchase health insurance in home country? So yes, you can. You need to make sure you look over the insurance requirements to make sure that the insurance you purchase meets all the requirements for the waiver, so that you don't end up having to pay for both or something. So make sure you read through all of that information and know that your insurance is meeting those, and go ahead and apply for that waiver so that you can get it approved as soon as possible. Okay. I have joined the Facebook group, but it's showing status pending. When will it be confirmed as a member of the group? I'll take care of that today. I'll ask our communications office to go through the list and make sure everybody who has asked to join is added. Whom should I contact for master in electrical? So for electricals, graduate advisor is Nafisa Lynn. What is the requirement to be qualified for RA or TA? So if you're a master's student and you want an RA or a TA, there's no particular requirements that you have to meet. Usually, so to get an RA, that's going to be at the professor's discretion. So each individual professor who hires students to work in their lab pays those students out of their own grant money. So the way to get those positions is by finding a professor who's looking to hire a master's student. Most professors want to hire PhD students because they'll be around longer. So it is a little bit more difficult to find that. But if you're a thesis student doing research under a professor who has enough grant money to hire you, that's going to be your best bet for an RA position. For TA positions, most of our departments use PhD students for TAs, but there are other colleges that hire our students to work as TAs in their department, mainly College of Technology. But we do also have students working as IAs in other places across campus as well. In my decision letter, it is written that the $1,000 scholarship qualifies me for a waiver of non-resident portion. Does that mean I got it and it will be included in my I-20? Yes, if it's in your letter, then it'll be included in your I-20 request as well. So the CVIS officer will see your letter when they're preparing your I-20. They'll know that you have received the scholarship and the waiver. Okay, so I think I've gotten to the end of the questions. I'm going to allow a few more minutes because I don't want to cut you guys off if somebody's typing a question right now. So please go ahead and get those questions in if there's something you're thinking of. I'm sure you've noticed as I've been going through these questions that a lot of people have the same questions you do. And these are the same questions that are asked every year. So I'm glad that you guys are asking them and getting these things cleared up right now while you can. But if you do have a question after this webinar has ended, there's multiple different ways that you can go about getting an answer. You can email me. You can email your academic advisor. As I said before, if you don't know who that is, please let me know and I'll make sure to get that information to you. We also have lots of old webinars that I've done in the past. So some of the information in those might be a little outdated, but most of it is still current. So if you would like, you can scroll through this Cullen College of Engineering YouTube page and look for those webinar videos. This one will also remain up after it's over. So if you want to watch it again, you can. And so if you have any questions, I really want to encourage you guys to email me or your academic advisor and ask those questions. We don't want you to be confused. We want you to come in, have a smooth process of getting to the US or to getting to Houston and getting enrolled in classes and starting your master's or PhD program. Okay, so we have a couple more questions. After I've accepted the admission, how many days will it take for me to receive the I-20? So that's going to depend on a lot of factors. It's going to depend on if we have all your financial documents, if they're all correct, and how quickly our CVIS officer can get to your request. So there's no specific amount of days that it's going to take. But if you feel like it's taking too long, let me know, and I'll talk to the CVIS officer, see if there's anything we can do to expedite it. But I would say that normally from accepting the offer, it takes probably a couple of weeks before you'll get the email with the shipping information. When is the last date to submit financial docs? So there is no last date. There's no specific deadline, but I do want you to keep in mind that it depends on how long it's going to take you to get a visa and to get your visa appointment and go through that whole process. So you want to make sure that you do it as soon as you can. And so for some students, it might take a few weeks to get a visa and come over. For other students, it might take 2 or 3 months. So you need to really kind of understand how that process is going to work in your country or where in your particular city, and how long it has taken other students to go through it, and get those documents in as soon as you can. Okay, I asked the CVIS officer to send me the scanned copy so that I can check for errors, and he said he cannot as mail is not secured. That's correct. So our CVIS officer will not email or electronically send I-20 documents. So that's why expediting is faster. You can get that document within a week or two, or even a few days, depending on where you live. And so that you can check it. But we don't generally have a lot of issues with errors in I-20s. You can check your own information in your application to make sure that everything is correct. That's the information that will be used for your I-20. Can I upload the loan sanction letter to get my I-20? Yes, so you can upload a loan letter. That usually is fine. The CVIS officer will check it over and make sure it has all the information they need. And let you know if there's anything missing. Okay, so I'm gonna wait just a couple of minutes to make sure nobody's typing a question right now. You guys are all asking very great questions. Hopefully, I'm giving you guys the answers that you need. Okay, so once again, I just want to encourage you to ask questions if you're confused. Let me know. Let your advisor know. It's what we're here for. If you're ever having trouble getting a hold of someone, the best thing to do is to email gradschool@uh.edu, and that will send your email into a ticket system. So even if you don't get a reply, you will at least get somebody else noticing that you didn't get a reply and taking action on it. So if you're having trouble getting a hold of someone, please go through our ticket system at gradschool@uh.edu, or you can email me. Thank you guys. Oh, okay. So we got a couple more questions. The email address of the CVIS officer. So you can email me and I'll send that. I don't know it right now, but you can email me and I'll send that to you. Pre-existing conditions covered by insurance. Yes, I believe that they are. But you may want to look through that documentation to be sure. And so thank you guys for participating. As I said before, this video will remain up. So if you have more questions, you want to watch it again, you don't remember what I said, you can watch it again, or please watch any of the other videos. While you're looking for the other webinars, you may also want to view some of our other videos. We have a lot of videos about our research, about our college, or about our campus. So please take some time to do that. Thanks again for everybody for joining me for this webinar. I really appreciate it. Bye.